What's going on, guys? I wanted to give you guys some land recommendations when you're building your decks, or to spice up your decks, get you out of some situations, or to help make your deck just a little bit more effective in places that it may not be. So starting off, Reliquary Tower, what it does is it gives you no maximum hand size. That's all it does, but if you draw a ton of cards, of course this is there to help you a ton. If there's a group hug deck, it helps you keep a full grip. If you start to pop off, you start to draw a lot more than normal, then this can definitely help you keep some of those cards instead of discarding, making that hard decision. And sometimes just having a free slot for this card can just be awesome. Some decks, I actually have it in there just because, hey, if anything pops off, I end up drawing a lot, this could be there to help me out. So the second card I have for you guys is Landscape. It is such a awesome and beautiful card, especially for budget, because this land helps you get lands from your deck. It has to be two of the same type, but it does wonders, especially if you're in a red deck. It gives your red deck ramp. If you're in a white deck, it gives your white deck ramp. If you are in a type of deck that barely gets a chance to ramp, this is very, very important, and it can definitely get you out of that sticky situation. Sometimes you drop it on turn 1, and turn 2 you can play whatever else you need to. Turn 3, pop it, you get two more lands, and then you play other land, and there you go. You're ahead. You've ramped. Congratulations. I think it's an awesome recommendation. Definitely give it a shot. I've been putting this into a bunch of my decks, and it's been helping me a ton, especially in my Brionne Stout Arm deck. It helps quite a bit because red, white, and if you're in color pie of red and white, you are not ramping as often as you would like to. You're mostly relying on artifacts and things like that, and usually artifacts get destroyed. So lands are a lot more reliable. They're a lot more insured. So definitely consider running this. If you're not ramping a lot in your deck, you could probably slot this in there very nicely. Temple of the False God, a lot of people are using it. A lot of newer players. I want you guys to know this is always a great card, because this can take you from turn 5 to turn 7 right then and there. It could help a ton. So getting so much mana, accumulating a lot of mana, playing those bigger spells as fast as possible, this is really good. If you're ramping in a green deck, this turns on a lot earlier. So always consider having this in your deck. I know they come with a lot of precons, so a lot of people don't have to worry about them, but it would be a shame for me not to include that card in here. So Blast Zone is the next card we're going to be talking about. Blast Zone is very, very underrated when it comes to Commander. I haven't seen too many people running Blast Zone, but Blast Zone has been nuking me every time I see it in Commander. It's been destroying not only me, a ton of my opponent's cards, and Blast Zone's awesome. Even though it may be a little bit tedious, but sometimes having a mana sink, it's really reliable. It's really useful. I have extra mana. All right, at the end of my opponent's turn, but bam, you're doing really solid with mana sinks, and being able to put your mana towards something can help a ton in the long run. So definitely consider that. So Ghost Quarters is the next card I want to have you guys focus on just for a second. A lot of cards need to be removed, and most of all, a lot of land cards can be very tedious. So dealing with those is way more important than you would think. So Strip Mine has been one of the go-to cards for quite some time. Dust Bowl, I believe, is another card that is also good as well. But if you just need a cheap alternate for those cards, then look no further than Ghost Quarters. It's about $2. A lot of people tend to have them, in their binders or in their extras. Definitely check and see if you have one. This is a great card. They get to go get a basic land. That's fine. It's okay. At least it's not a Maze of Ith. As long as you get rid of the problem, it doesn't matter. It's out of the way. It's done. Get it out of there. Get it. All right. So from there, Karns Bastion. Karns Bastion is something that has been overlooked. I haven't seen too many people paying attention to this card. It is such a beautiful card. It gets you, ahead in the long run over time. It's a nice little mana sink. So what Karns Bastion is tap 4, proliferate. And if you're running Super Friends, of course it's an auto include. If you're running any lands that require you to have counters on them to tap for any color mana, then the Vivids, you could definitely use that to keep that going. You could use it to proliferate -1/-1 counters, put charge counters on things. It helps keep things flowing if you're running a lot of counters. Or it could finish somebody off if someone's got an infect. It does a lot, and I think this is very good, especially if you're running a counter deck. Always consider this. I love this, especially for Super Friends. And it's a pretty much include if your Planeswalker is your commander. That is something that a lot of people don't normally often see being used right then and there. And I think it's a beautiful card. Give it a shot. It is amazing. So after that, we have a brand new card, Gars Reach, Sanatorium. It is awesome. Pay 2, tap it. Each player draws a card, then discard a card. There's a card called Sakoko Center of the Sea, or Sakoko Center of the Sea. It's something like that. And it lets everybody draw a card without, a drawback. Just you pay so much and it lets you draw a card. But this one you pay 2, they draw and then discard. It could help get discard triggers. It can help you throw things to the graveyard. It could just help you have a draw power in your deck if you're running red and white. This card has some potential. There may be some downsides to it. Yeah, sure. But if you're in a deck that doesn't have any draw power, being able to draw an additional card each turn, you probably pretty much are trying to get as much as you can, and for 2 mana, just to do this at the end of somebody's turn, that's amazing. You can do it at the end of someone's turn, and then you get pretty much 2 draws a turn. That's great. That's cool beans. I likes it. So that's the cards that I wanted to share with you guys. Thanks so much for jamming out.